My wife is actually a treacherous. She cheated on me with a fat hairy him off for pennies. Hey, darling, it's wonderful to hear your voice again. I must admit, finding your new number was quite a challenge. How have you been? Janet asked softly, trying to hide the excitement and nervousness in her voice. Lily paused for a moment, deciding to be cautious. New number? Who's this? She replied coolly. Lily, it's me, your mother. I'm sorry for not calling sooner, but I hoped you'd recognize my voice after all these years, Janet said, a hint of frustration evident. Lily smiled faintly, immediately recognizing her mother's voice, but decided to proceed with caution given the circumstances. Her carefulness allowed her to address her mother's long absence without being outright rude. Oh, hi, Mom, she finally said. You caught me off guard. I was just being careful. I don't want to fall victim to a prank call or something. Lily paused again, thinking before challenging her mother's claim of loving and raising her for over 15 years. She maintained her composure, but wasn't going to let her mother's statement slide. Mom, I don't think the past 5 years qualify as your care or affection. I was nearly 13 when you left, and this is the first time you've contacted me in 5 years. I'm already 18, and I've been without your maternal love for a long time, Lily responded firmly. Janet sighed heavily. I'm truly sorry, Lily. Back then, everything was overwhelming, and I felt I had no choice but to leave. But let's not dwell on the past. I genuinely called to see how you are and maybe talk to your siblings if they're around. Now that things have settled, I want to be more present for you. I hope we can reconnect, sweetheart. You can enjoy the benefits of having a wealthy mother now that Peter and I are married. There's so much I can do for all my children, you, Bella, and Lucas. Our life now is far better than it was with your father. Don't get me wrong, your dad is a good man, but he couldn't provide the luxuries Peter does. He spoils me daily, and I love it. Janet's voice brimmed with enthusiasm. I want to show you kids what real life is about, the way it's meant to be. It'll also make up for those hard years when we struggled due to your father's modest income. Hopefully, this will ease the guilt of leaving you so abruptly, she added. By now, Lily could barely contain her anger, simmering with resentment. She deeply loved her father, John Miller, and admired him for taking on the responsibilities of single parenthood and enduring the heartache when Janet left. John had to step up, raising 2 daughters, one dealing with teenage turmoil, the other just 9, alongside a wild 21-year-old son. Lily also felt immense pride in her father's transformation of their lives after her mother's departure. Before leaving, Janet had drained all the bank accounts, plunging the family into a financial crisis worse than Lily could remember. At 13, young Lily took on the role of a homemaker, striving to help her family survive. Together, the father and children endured a tough period lasting over 10 months. Then life started to improve as her father made significant changes, and now it was wonderful. It would have been easy for Lily to blame her mother for their suffering at 13. Lily's famous fiery temper was ready to erupt, but suddenly she felt a wave of calm, understanding how to handle herself and what she needed to do in this conversation with her mother, and it felt right. If she had confronted Janet, then her mother would have hung up, and Lily might never have reconnected with her. It wouldn't have benefited anyone, and Lily truly wanted to maintain a relationship with her mother despite her many mistakes. Embracing this calmness, Lily decided how to proceed. She would voice her perspective, pointing out her mother's errors while preserving the chance for the relationship between the children and their mother to continue. Yes, it was the right approach. The young woman grinned broadly, realizing she might have just learned a significant life lesson. She excitedly told her mother about her stunning appearance and promised to send a picture using her phone's camera. Asking her not to hang up, Lily positioned herself in front of the mirror on her bedroom closet door, sunlight streaming through the window as it was around 4 in the mid-June evening. She smiled brightly into the mirror, showing off her golden blonde hair styled in an elegant updo and her full-length rose evening dress which elegantly hugged her figure. The floor-length dress was complemented by long white gloves ending just above her elbows, symbolizing Lily's transformation from an awkward girl into a mature young lady. She took a few pictures, selected the best one, and promptly sent the selfie to her mother's cell phone. Impatiently, she asked if her mother had received the photo and urged her to share her thoughts. A long pause followed as Janet reflected on the impact of the past 5 years on her blossoming daughter. Janet expressed her amazement at Lily's beauty, struggling to find the right words as she fought back tears and a lump in her throat. She then expressed how much she missed Lily and acknowledged her daughter's immense growth, questioning her own actions. Despite Janet's hesitant murmuring, Lily continued. She mentioned how stunning Bella would be and went to her younger sister's room, where she found Bella putting the final touches on her long, thick caramel brown hair with an elegant updo framing her face. Bella's hair cascaded down in gentle curls, her large green eyes and soft features captivating many. Bella's face was strikingly beautiful, with her slightly upturned nose and dimpled smile adding to her charm. Like Lily, Bella was dressed in an evening gown, exuding delicate elegance, though in a more understated manner compared to her older sister's attire. "Hey Bella, get ready for a photo. Mom's on the line and I'll send her your picture," Lily called out, circling her sister to find the perfect angle. Assisting her was a striking woman in her mid-30s, dressed to impress in an elegant evening gown. This woman had a regal beauty that turned heads wherever she went. As she noticed the smartphone aimed at her and Bella, she started to step out of the frame, but Lily gestured for her to stay. "No, Karen, stay right there. I want you in the photo too," Lily insisted. Bella, still a bit taken aback, rolled her eyes and cupped her hands around her mouth like a megaphone. "Hello, ma'am? Can't talk now, but let's catch up later," she shouted towards the phone. Lily moved around the room, capturing several shots of Bella and Karen before signaling that they were done. "All set, ladies. I'll pick the best one and send it off," Lily said. After a pause, she held the phone to her ear and exclaimed, "Mom, you wouldn't recognize Bella now. I mean, she's grown so much." Bella blushed and retorted, "Lily, you're such a nerd. Be quiet." But a shy smile crept onto her face as the other women giggled. Lily refocused on the phone. "So, what do you think, Mom?" Janet was clearly amazed. "My goodness, I'm speechless. You both look stunning. You've grown so much and are so beautiful. I'm incredibly proud of both you and Bella. I wish I could be there beside you right now," Janet said, her voice trembling with emotion as she glanced at the photos of her daughters. She quickly wiped her teary eyes, focusing on the details. "Listen, Lily, why are you both dressed up like that? You're not both going to prom, are you?" she asked, puzzled. Lily had her mom's full attention and was ready to reveal their surprise. "No, Mom, it's even better than prom. Remember that annual gala you always envied but never got invited to? The grand summer event hosted by Langley and Morris?" Janet's memory was immediately triggered. "Yes, of course I remember. That ball was always the highlight of the social calendar. I'd have given anything to attend that reception. Only the most influential and glamorous people in the state get invited." Janet's voice carried a wistful tone. "I've always dreamed of wearing a beautiful evening gown and mingling with the social elite. It would be a dream come true," she sighed before snapping back to reality. "Oh my goodness. Did you and Bella get jobs as hostesses or waitresses at that party? This is incredible. I'm so proud of both of you. Just imagine my daughters at such a prestigious event," Janet exclaimed. No, Mom. Bella and I aren't working as staff. We're invited guests," Lily shared with pride and excitement. "And what's more, we'll be seated at the main table because Dad is the guest of honor at the event. It's a surprise for him, but the organizers will give him special recognition. Isn't that amazing? I'll even be part of the ceremony. Oh, Mom, I'm so nervous but incredibly excited." Janet was utterly stunned. "What? You must be joking, right? Lily, honey, you've got to be kidding me. Why would a cost control clerk be invited to such an esteemed event, and as the guest of honor no less? That's just not something that happens in real life. Come on, honey, admit it, you're pulling my leg, right?" Lily chuckled. "No, Mom, it's true. Bella and I dress like this every day just to await your call and tease you. Let's be realistic, Mom. A lot has changed since you left us. We were devastated, but Dad managed to bring us together, even Lucas, and somehow built a new life for us without you. Maybe I should catch you up on what's happened since you left. We need to do this quickly because the limo with Grace and Lucas will be back soon." She glanced at her watch in about 15 minutes, and then we'll all need to leave. Lily took a deep breath, preparing to recount their life after her mother left. "Dad was shattered when he found out about you and that old guy. You disappeared right after he confronted you. Honestly, I think you were planning to leave anyway. You just had to move up the date a bit." Janet interrupted, whispering, "Sorry, Lily. I didn't realize you knew about what went down between your dad and me. But yeah, after he found out, I felt I had to go. What was the point of staying? He even had photos of us. Peter and I decided to leave the city and move to his Manhattan apartment, and we've been there since. Lily, I'm sorry your dad decided to involve you. If you want to know, I think it was pretty messed up to drag you kids into this. Unable to hold back, Lily yelled, "This is total crap, Mom." She took a couple of deep breaths to calm herself before continuing. Dad didn't tell us anything. I did. Who do you think took those photos, huh? Yeah, that's right, Mom. That day, Bella and I came home, and everything was quiet except for some weird noises from your room. I told Bella to wait downstairs while I checked. When I saw you, I took pictures and sent them to Dad. Then Bella and I left to hang out with friends. When we got back, you were crying in your room. The next morning, you were gone. So the last image I have of my caring mother is her with some old guy in Dad's room. Seriously, Mom, tell me I didn't need therapy to erase those ugly images from my mind. Thank goodness you at least covered yourselves, otherwise I'd probably still be in therapy. I can't believe you betrayed me, Lily. How could you do this? Janet exclaimed, frustration and indignation evident in her voice. Mom, I don't think now is the time or place to argue about betrayal. It wouldn't be a fair fight. I could easily overwhelm you if I wanted to, and let's not forget what Bella and Lucas might have to say. So do you want to hear about the last 5 years or not? Lily said firmly, surprising herself with how composed and rational she was handling the situation. She realized how much she had grown and matured over the past few years. At that moment, Janet understood that to salvage any semblance of a relationship with her children, she would have to confront the harsh reality of her actions and their consequences. It wouldn't be easy. A few gifts and occasional meetings wouldn't magically mend things. Something deeper was required. Her children needed to express their feelings about her decisions and life choices. Did they all resent her? There was no escaping reality now. If she retreated, she might lose them forever. But if she wanted to rebuild the relationship, she had to acknowledge their emotions and let their intense feelings wash over her. Was she prepared for this? Was it worth the pain she knew would follow? Gathering her resolve, Janet spoke softly, her voice tinged with regret. Yes, Lily, you're absolutely right. We'll need to sit down and discuss all these matters someday. But for now, let's focus on restoring some communication. I reached out to reconnect with you and your siblings. That's a good first step, don't you think? Now tell me how your lives have been. Lily couldn't wait to update her mother on their journey since she left. Mom, you won't believe what's happened. It's like something out of a novel or a fairy tale. After you left, Dad went through a rough patch for a few months. It was tough. Many times when Bella and I came home from school, I'd have her wait outside while I checked inside, fearing I might find Dad, you know. Every phone call made me jump, thinking it might be the police or the hospital. I urged Lucas to pull himself together, to stop drinking and partying because I couldn't be the sole anchor of the family. He tried, but he struggled to provide real support. Eventually, Dad started reading books about overcoming heartbreak and grief. Often at night, he'd lock himself in his room, and Bella and I could hear the keys clicking on his computer keyboard. He poured his thoughts and feelings onto the screen, and I believe it helped him tremendously. Oh, and Mom, remember how overweight Dad was? Well, he started rising early to run, even dusting off the treadmill and weights and using them regularly. It seemed like he was pushing himself to embrace life again, which was uplifting to see. Lily paused, thinking for a moment. I guess you probably don't want to hear all this stuff about Dad, but it's really important in the grand scheme of what I'm trying to explain. So, I'm sorry if this isn't what you want to hear. But by the way, Dad looks pretty good now, she added with a smile, even though her mother couldn't see it. No, it's okay, honey. I needed to hear about this. Thank you for taking care of me and telling me how things have been for you. I really want to know how things are going with you, Bella and Lucas. Well, with Bella, it's simple. After you left, she seemed to shut down and retreated into herself for a long time. But now, she's almost back to her old self, and you won't believe how well she's doing. A lot of it has to do with Karen. She and Bella really became friends. Janet looked at the photo on her phone again and zoomed in, paying special attention to the woman helping Bella get dressed. Okay, so who is this Karen you're talking about? Sorry, Mom. Karen is Dad's girlfriend. Isn't she gorgeous? She's so sweet. She used to be a swimsuit model and is still involved in modeling. She really helped Bella come out of her shell and now supports her desire to start a modeling career. Lily perked up, nearly jumping out of her bed as she remembered something. By the way, Mom, You should definitely pick up a copy of last month's Teen Fashion World magazine. Bella's on the cover, and she looks absolutely stunning. She's become a very popular model recently. What? How? When did all this happen? First, your father hooks up with a woman half his age, and now she's pushing your little sister into modeling. If only I knew what kind of photos they were taking. Mom, calm down, Lily interrupted softly to diffuse the situation. Dad and Karen are extremely careful. They handle all of Bella's and my modeling work with great caution. One of them is always present at our shoots, and they make sure the photographer signs a strict contract with Dad. According to the terms, not a single photo can be taken without Dad's permission. Do you really think Dad would approve of anything inappropriate? He won't even let Bella wear a swimsuit. And about Dad's girlfriend. Her name is Karen. She's 34, which means there's an 11-year age gap between her and Dad. It's actually less of a difference compared to you and Peter. How old is he? 100. Anyway, I'm not sure if they'll ever get married, but from what I see, they're very compatible. Karen has been a great support to him, and Dad seems genuinely happy. I've never seen him this content. Janet, still in shock, muttered, Peter is only 66. Not as old as you think, Lily. But I'm just unsure if modeling is the right path for Bella. I think she'd benefit more from pursuing something more meaningful, Janet commented. Lily bit her tongue, trying to keep her temper in check. She turned away from the phone, taking a deep breath to regain her composure. Once she felt calm, she brought the phone back to her ear and continued, ignoring her mother's interruption. Mom, Bella's modeling career has really helped her. She's less shy now and exudes a confidence and poise she never had before. She's finally discovering her true self, her capabilities, and what she's passionate about. Sometimes she even takes charge in the studio or suggests creative poses for her shoots. Let's be real. Bella was never a standout student and always felt like a failure, thinking her future was bleak. But now she's on track to become a top-tier fashion model before finishing high school, with a bank account even you'd be proud of. And yes, Mom, I also model, but it's not my passion. Bella and I do fashion shows together, but I mainly support her, complimenting her looks or showcasing different outfits. The best part is, Bella and I have grown close, helping each other and collaborating. Plus, I'm making good money enough to save for college. Don't worry, I still enjoy school and maintain good grades. I'm even taking extra classes to graduate early for college. I still have an A average, though chemistry is tough this year. I need to ace it for veterinary school. Lily remembered something else and brightened up, giggling. Oh, Mom, you won't believe this. Bella and I get to keep some of the outfits from our shows and shoots, so now I have a really cool wardrobe. Can you imagine? I'm one of the most stylish girls in class now, not some geek. Many of the girls who used to think they were too cool are now asking me for fashion tips and even my autograph. Isn't it funny, albeit a bit nauseating? And Mom, guys are starting to notice me, Lily giggled. All this news greatly disturbed Janet, who had always struggled to achieve some level of recognition in society. She left her family to pursue personal recognition, but it seemed her family members achieved success without her. What further aggravated Janet was how effortlessly they seemed to have done it. She sighed heavily. Baby, I'm glad everything's going well with you and your sister. By the way, though, I'm hesitant to ask, how's Lucas? Is he okay? Lily took a deep breath and glanced at the clock, knowing Lucas and Grace would arrive soon. She didn't want to rush discussing Lucas' situation, but felt confident she could share his update with her mother. Well, Mom, surprisingly, Lucas has turned things around. He was quite wild even before you left, and afterward he continued drinking and partying even more. He completely lost control for a while. Eventually, Dad got really angry and demanded he quit partying and either get a job or go back to school. Lucas told Dad off, so Dad kicked him out, telling him not to return until he found a job. Dad even had to call the cops a couple of times to get him out. Janet couldn't believe her ears. What? Your idiotic father threw my son out? How dare he? I'll have Peter contact a lawyer and sue that scoundrel, she raged, clutching the phone in anger. Good luck with that, Mom, Lily said with a hint of irony. She knew her mother always favored Lucas, letting him get away with anything and supporting his antics by giving him money whenever he asked. All this happened a year and a half ago, Mom. Since then, Lucas and Dad have reconciled. Lucas relied on his friends for a while, but even they grew tired of supporting his laziness and kicked him out. He spent some time living on the street, but eventually realized he didn't like that lifestyle, especially seeing us doing well. So one day, Lucas apologized to Dad and expressed his desire to come home. Dad maintained his stance on getting a job first, so Lucas found work on a roofing crew. After that, he returned home, but Dad insisted he contribute to living expenses to teach him responsibility. It was amusing hearing him complain about his tough job and expenses, but Dad always said that's how the real world operates, and Lucas needed to adapt. This continued until Grace entered the scene. "Don't tell me Dad has a new girlfriend," Janet said indignantly. "Who is Grace?" Lily laughed. "No, Mom, Grace is Dad's personal assistant. She's sharp-tongued and won't tolerate any objections. Dad calls her his cool boss. Despite being only 24, she's competent and reliable." They met at a conference in Chicago. Grace approached him, shook his hand, and advised him to hire her for organizing trips, booking tickets, and managing expenses if he wanted real success. Impressed by her no-nonsense attitude, Dad hired Grace on the spot. Now she lives with us, and Dad jokes about having his own harem. It's hilarious. Grace has been crucial in Dad's career development. She's like my big sister, and we all adore her. Oh, Mom, Grace is a real stunner from Norway. She's 510 with a trendy haircut, short blonde hair, and piercing light blue eyes. Poor Lucas fell for her immediately, but Grace made it clear she wouldn't date someone without direction. Suddenly, Lucas had newfound motivation. Lily's tone turned serious as she shared the latest about her brother. "And now the big news, Mom, brace yourself. 4 months ago, Lucas enlisted in the Air Force and will soon head to language school in Monterey, California." "Language school? What language?" Janet gasped. "German?" Lily replied, chuckling at her mother's reaction. "Isn't it wild? Lucas is currently stationed at Lackland Air Force Base, waiting for clearance. Dad asked him to come home for a party in his honor. And you know what? Grace has started treating him more gently, though she still won't admit she's with Lucas. But we can tell she's fallen for him too. Grace isn't seeing anyone else, and they spend hours on the phone whenever they can. Lucas is head over heels for her. Can you believe he plans to finish language school, go to college, get a degree, and become an officer? My crazy brother wants to become a military officer. For anyone who knew him before, it sounds like a joke. Love makes you do strange things, doesn't it?" Lily smiled, tapping her stiletto heel as she talked about her brother's future. Suddenly, a deep baritone voice singing "The Impossible Dream" filled the background. Lily laughed, jumped off the bed, and ran into the hallway. "Mom, you've got to hear this!" she exclaimed into the phone, holding it out towards the singing voice. Female voices joined in with playful howls and giggles, followed by Bella's laughter. "Dad's singing my favorite song," Karen added. "Don't quit your day job," Lily teased. "Dad, why don't you take that act on the road?" "The bus leaves in 10 minutes. John's voice, mock indignant, boomed through the laughter. "Girls, you're killing me. No respect in my own house. I've had it. You're all off my Christmas list." Another burst of laughter erupted, followed by a chorus of "We love you, Daddy," and John's assurance they were back on the list. Lily returned to the phone, still giggling. "Dad's a riot. He sings when he's happy or nervous, and we always egg him on. It's our little game with him." Janet, struggling to find words, managed to say quietly, "That's all." She had subconsciously hoped her family was still suffering without her, but seeing them thriving left her feeling somewhat dazed. Lily picked up the conversation again. "Dad doesn't know he's the guest of honor tonight, but he's already a bit nervous. He and Mike Morris are playing a couple of guitar duets with the band. You know how Dad is with his blues guitar, right? Since he and Mike became buddies, they've been jamming almost every week, strumming their guitars and sharing a few beers. Mom, you gotta hear their jokes about becoming rock stars. They're actually pretty good, though. Tonight's their first public gig, and I bet it'll be a blast. Just picture Dad in a tuxedo, rocking out on stage." Janet was taken aback. "Lily? What are you saying? Your dad and Michael Morris are friends? Did I hear that right?" "Michael Morris? How? Why?" Lily smiled mischievously, knowing her mother held the Morris family in high regard for their wealth and influence. She also remembered her mother's dream of meeting them in person. Now Lily's dad and Mike Morris were not only acquaintances, but practically best buddies. Lily appreciated that Mike, the head of the Morris family, insisted they call him by his first name rather than Mr. Morris. Mike turned out to be quite pleasant and played a pivotal role in John's writing career's early stages. "Yes, Mom, the same Michael or Mike, as his friends call him, Morris," Lily confirmed. It all started when Dad wrote a couple of articles about surviving and rebuilding life after losing everything when your spouse leaves you for someone else. A couple of small magazines bought his articles, and Dad was thrilled. Then Mike read Dad's articles, contacted him, and asked him to deliver a motivational speech at a Morris Corporation employee meeting. Dad was stunned by the offer. He prepared a talk based on his articles and delivered it at the meeting. The speech was a hit, and he received lots of warm feedback and gratitude. Mike hired him again to speak at the company's annual shareholders meeting. After that, Dad started getting offers to speak at other companies' meetings, recommended by the board of directors. Everything fell into place from then on. Dad wrote more and more. His articles got published in bigger magazines, and he eventually quit his job to focus full-time on writing and speaking engagements. Mike kept introducing Dad to important people. They started hanging out more and discovered they both loved playing blues and rock guitar. Their shared love for music brought Dad and Mike even closer, and they've been friends ever since. Lily paused, giving her mother time to process everything she'd just heard. It was quite a turn of events in their lives. Your father is a writer now? Seriously? An author? A published writer? Your father, my ex-husband, is in magazines now? Janet struggled to grasp the idea of her once underachieving ex-husband finding success. She secretly hoped it didn't pay too well. Meanwhile, sounds of activity drifted up from downstairs. Guests had arrived, and there was muffled chatter and light laughter. A deep male voice and a much softer female voice stood out. Lily watched Karen leave Bella's room and head downstairs, likely to greet the new arrivals. Suddenly, Lily remembered a task she had almost forgotten. Mom, I'll have to go soon. Mike and Lisa Morris are already here, along with photographers for the newspaper's gossip column and the special photo album they produce and sell every year. There's an elaborate photo spread capturing the enchanted moments guests spend at their summer evening affair. Personally, I find the grandiosity nauseating, but I believe the album sales raise significant funds for charity. So in the end, it serves a noble purpose, and we participants bask in the warmth and goodwill, almost feeling like celestial beings. She snorted, her voice dripping with sarcasm as she found the event excessively pretentious, catering to the vanity and narcissism of its attendees. Even though Lily tried to hide it, she couldn't help but feel a flicker of pride, knowing her father's newfound success had lifted their family into a realm of social respectability that even her estranged mother couldn't ignore. However, Janet, always quick to defend her choices, jumped in. Oh, Lily, don't diminish this. Being featured in that album is a tremendous honor. You and Bella should be ecstatic. Sitting at the main table means your photos will be everywhere. I've secretly bought one of these albums almost every year, and this time, I'll proudly show off pictures of Lucas, you, and Bella and say, "These are my children." Can you imagine? I'm envious, but also immensely proud. I'll be ordering several copies this year. Okay, Mom, Lily replied absently, then remembered something significant. Dad is supposed to attend a writing event in New York over Labor Day weekend. Bella, Karen, Grace, and I were planning to join him. Maybe we could see you then. I'd love that, and I'm sure I could get Bella to come too, though she's still really angry with you for leaving. Maybe we'll bring Karen along so you two can meet. You'd probably like to see Dad too. Oh, sweetheart, that's a fantastic idea, Janet responded eagerly. Let's explore the options. I really want to see you and Bella. As for your dad and his girlfriend, I'm not sure it's a good idea. There's been too much pain on both sides, but I'd love for you to meet Peter after all. He's your stepfather now. Hearing this, Lily made a dramatic gagging gesture, pretending to be disgusted. No, Mom, I still have nightmares about you and Peter. The only way I'd meet him is if Dad and Karen are there too. That seems fair, Janet, trying to keep the conversation amicable, replied. Okay, let's see how things go, Lily. But let's focus on reuniting. I can't wait to see and hug you and Bella again. By the way, the New York Literary Guild is hosting a Meet the Books Day on Labor Day weekend, and Peter is using his influence to get us tickets. I'll push him to get tickets for all of us. Janet, clearly thrilled by the upcoming event, continued sharing her excitement. This gala is shaping up to be quite the affair. Can you imagine, Lily? Renowned writers, book signings, engaging with readers. You might even get a selfie with a famous author. You should see how excited Peter is. Did you know Samuel Brooks himself promised to attend? Peter is keen to meet him. Samuel is an up-and-coming writer, but Peter says his debut book is sensational. Yes, Mom, I've heard of Samuel Brooks. Actually, I've met him several times. I agree, his work is remarkable. I read his book some time ago and found it very thought-provoking. Have you read his book? Lily's question caught Janet off guard, but she tried to stay composed. No, to be honest, I haven't read it. It's not my usual type of book, but Peter is a big fan, Janet admitted. Lily chuckled, resisting the urge to comment on her mother's literary tastes. Mom, do you have a copy of Samuel's book handy? Janet glanced around and then entered Peter's office. Yes, we have the hardcover right here. Why do you ask? Look at the back inside of the dust jacket and tell me what you see, Lily instructed. Janet examined the book, finding a familiar photo. Oh dear, it's John. Oh my goodness, this is a photo of your father that I took years ago. How can this be? Samuel Brooks is your father, not Samuel Brooks. Please tell me this is a mistake. Lily doubled over with laughter, the irony of the situation hitting hard. There's no mistake, Mom. Yes, yes, and yes. Samuel Brooks is John D. Miller. When Dad started writing, he wanted to keep his ambitions separate, so he created a pseudonym. It's quite amusing, Mom. Your new husband's favorite author is your ex-husband. It's hilarious. I haven't laughed this hard in ages. They could make a movie about this. Unbelievable, right? Janet sat there stunned and quietly muttered, "Crap." Lily, realizing she needed to go, ended the conversation while still chuckling. I have to go, Mom. I'll send you my email address so we can finalize our Labor Day plans. I'm glad you called. I really want to see you again. I love you, Mom. This is too funny. In an inexpressibly gloomy voice, Janet asked, Say hi to your brother and sister for me and give them my number so they can call when they get a chance. I love you too, Lily. Lily turned off the phone, still giggling, and went downstairs. She knew that tonight she would have no problem with her dazzling smile, the secret reason for her excellent mood hidden from everyone. Meanwhile, Janet sat in deep thought, staring blankly at the book. The conversation with Lily had left her reeling. She was still processing it when Peter burst into the room, beaming. Janet, you won't believe this. I just got a card from Samuel Brooks. I wrote to him about how much I enjoyed his book and how excited I was to see him in September. He replied, and he wrote the message himself. Can you imagine? Let me read it to you. Dear Peter, you have no idea how glad I am that you read and liked my first novel. Although you may not know it, you had a very positive influence on my life and career. I can't thank you enough. I look forward to thanking you in person. You've lifted a huge weight off my shoulders and sparked my growth as a person and writer. I am deeply indebted to you. Best wishes, Samuel Brooks. Peter continued, ecstatic about how he must have met Samuel because the photo looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where. He couldn't wait to meet him, hoping to befriend his new favorite author. All this time, Janet became gloomier and more depressed. Finally, she whispered hoarsely, Shut up, Peter, just shut up.